So welcome, my
Thank
darling,
you.
to this chat. I'm so happy we can actually get to do that.
Me
And
too.
let's not waste the time and let's talk about these energies. And just as a disclaimer, this is not some kind of astrology um, video. I'm definitely not savvy in that area, but we are talking more about the energies, and everybody, I guess every human is obviously an energy and energetic being. So whoever is more sensitive probably feeling this thing big time. And even if we don't recognize as we are feeling it, we are still going through these energies. So that's what I want to talk about today and ask some tips maybe from you as a somatic therapist, and obviously working a lot with your own body, working a lot with your clients, obviously. And how do you see that? How do you see this manifesting maybe like around this time? Is there anything different going on? And what would you recommend for people to do in order to have a smooth ride?
Yeah. So, I am not an astrologer, but I know that we are, so why the planets have such a big impact on us and why all these moments in these planetary happenings, they impact our system is because we are made of the same material. So depending on the transits of the planets and depending on what is happening exactly in the universe, some places are activated in us. And of course, it depends a lot on when you were born, where you were born, but there are certain aspects that are actually moving the collective as well. So when it comes to the somatic point of view, obviously we all feel differently, and some people are very connected to the body, and well, we all are connected to the body, but some people are more aware of this connectedness, and some may lack disconnectedness due to trauma, because usually when there is a disconnect, it's because of trauma, because it's hard to go back to the body and to feel. But when it comes to this period of the year on the northern hemisphere to begin with, so we are going towards the dark part of the year. We are going towards winter. And whenever the days start to get shorter and whenever there is less light and when there is more night, there are more hours of evening and night, we spend more time inside, and that's the time we're inside of a building and inside of ourselves, and that's just a very natural rhythm. So even without the eclipses, this is the time when we can really go inwards and we can really work on ourselves. Now, when it comes to the eclipses, it's really a huge projection of a shadow, right? The eclipse is a huge shadow, basically. And when it comes to shadow work, and what it does is that it really triggers us deeply. And we always have two choices. Either we get triggered and we do nothing about it and we feel very, very bad and worse every time, or we take this opportunity.
Victimized.
Exactly. So it all comes back to feeling that we're the victim of the situation, or we can really grab this energy, ride it like a white horse, and sit on top of it and say, this is my moment where I can really, really come back to myself, and I can see my triggers for what they are bringing to me. Why am I upset? Why these people make me upset? What is the anger that comes up? What is below this anger? Is there any sadness? Are there fears? So this is a huge shadow aspect. But when we talk about shadow, I would also like to say that this is not always negative feelings. Shadows are exactly things that we just repressed mainly in our childhood, because there was a moment where we thought we got a reaction from someone and we thought that was not the right way to do things or feel. So really, shadow is everything that we have suppressed at a certain moment in our lives. May it be huge capacities, may it be creativity, may it be maybe once you were told that you are too loud, so you will never sing again, just to say something. So there are so many things that can be in the shadow aspect. So it's really it's not dark per se.
Absolutely.
And I always like to see this or explain this difference, because sometimes when people talk about shadow, they perceive it as all the dark things that we have, that we do have that part as well. Mind you, we all do, but it's not only that. So when we work on our shadows, and this is this perfect time to do that, we just bring into awareness certain aspects of our psyche that are for the time being hidden, because we were not able to see them. And the more we bring them to the light and integrate them, the more whole we become.
Totally.
So this is a beautiful invitation for everyone to work on themselves, and especially in these times of so much trauma being on the surface, collectively and transgenerationally. And I don't want to go into details more than that, because we all know what I'm talking about, but I'm really seeing it from kind of a bird's eye view, and just looking at what is happening, and we are all in this, both sides. So this is something that comes up so much for me, and this is just a funny story that I really wanted to share, because we also talked about manifestation.
Before we're going so dark.
We talked about manifestation, and to be honest, I mean, God knows if it was that or not, but I was just about telling my husband that I couldn't find my key. It's the third day I'm looking for my key and I cannot find it at 1717, by the way, as I'm telling this story about manifestation. And the moment that I was telling him the story that I cannot find my keys for 3 days, I put my hand into my shorts and there was my key. Because I wasn't wearing the shorts for 3 days, and I put them on and I didn't remember. And it's just like the key was in my pocket. It was like, I cannot find my...
It's like right there, talking about, this is also these kind of, manifestations, synchronicities, like, that's also coming from the subconscious part of us, which is also shadow and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just the dark and painful, like you were just saying, situation, although that can come up, especially in this, as I understand, and I see around me happening this, the eclipse energy of old stuff, really old stuff. It's not just like, okay, I had a trauma in my previous relationship. This stuff is old. This stuff is coming up now in a collective, very ancestral, very hidden, very suppressed, and finally it can no longer be contained. It's coming out, whether you want it or not, so it's that kind of what we were saying before. The choice right now is huge to make, whether you stay in fear or whether you are able, and not even able, are you willing to stay in love, to stay in peace, to stay in this kind of, how can you bring that up, face it, and not blame, like look at yourself first. There is enough blaming. We learned through pain a lot. Now it's time to start learning through love. Okay, like this shadow is coming up. We're gonna deal with it. And like I said, these sensitive people with all the energy now, whether some people, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make any decisions, I'm just gonna spend this 2 weeks sort of like almost in meditative state. And maybe that's something that you need for your type, for your, for your own stars or whatever, for your own body. And for some people, it is a massive energy of acceleration and manifestation. So it's very different, like you said, and everybody can kind of find their own way to what works.
And you see, this is exactly what you say, that in order for us to be able to integrate anything, first we need to become aware that we are just not feeling perfectly comfortable the way we are. So the moment I was telling, there was something dragging me for 3 days, but I never actually verbalized it. And the moment I said, where are my keys? The keys were there. So, but there was this internal, and it's just a silly example, but I really can use this example to really explain what it feels to have that thing inside of you. But until you really become aware and even maybe say it out loud, then it really gains a totally different meaning, or gets much more powerful, obviously, through the sound. So it comes back to exactly as you said, all these patterns. So what can you observe in yourself? What are the things that come up for you? What are the feelings? What are those feelings that are coming back each and every cycle? They come back again and they mock you again and you feel uncomfortable with them. Observe your patterns. This is the time to do that. And then when you bring it back to the body, you can really sit with these feelings and just feel them. How do they feel in the body? And from there, you start to really work with them, and little by little, without pushing yourself too far. Because this is also an important thing. We are very vulnerable in this moment. And although these work only can be done if we let ourselves to be vulnerable, but not helpless. So there's always this very important work first to feel safe and be in a container where we feel that now we are ready to work with this. And then we can, we don't open the box of Pandora like this. Just we go.
Yeah, because you can't handle all of it at the same time, and please don't
It can be
try, you know. Even when we were talking yesterday, it's like even those of us that maybe are very into work on themselves and like doing all kinds of practices can be sometimes like, whoa, what is this thing coming up? And like, shit, like I don't know how I would handle it if that would be coming up in front of like someone else who's maybe experiencing it for the first time, and it's heavy. But what you were saying about this integration, what would you say could be a gentle way to, like, say, opening a little bit and like maybe acknowledging and accepting without judgment of what you are feeling, and maybe, you know, these feelings that we say are bad, like, you know, people feel rage and they feel anger and they feel hurt, and like whenever this, let's say, heavy stuff coming up, what are the gentle ways of integrating that energy when you feel you are ready to do it?
Well, number one that really comes to me first is that we need to understand that us as individuals and the collective, we all carry all the frequencies. So whenever so-called negative feeling comes up, can we hold it in a more neutral space? So can we detach it from this negative or positive polarity, just to see it for what it is? And this is why somatic work can be very, very useful, because instead of calling it anger or fear, which it's good to call it and to recognize it, but first maybe just check your body. So one of the softest exercises I can recommend during this period is to just lay down, do a little bit of breath work. So the exhale should be at least twice as long as the inhale. You can find your natural rhythm, whatever suits you, but always make the exhale longer. That will already signal your brain to go into a more relaxed state. And from there, once the body is relaxed, you start to just observe what is going on in the body. Which parts of your body are being activated? So what does it mean being activated? You may feel some temperature difference. You may feel movement somewhere. Something is happening. So can you just observe it without wanting to put a label on it? Is it comfortable? Is it uncomfortable? Can you hold it in a way that it doesn't trigger you too much? And whenever you feel that it's not comfortable and you don't feel safe anymore, you always come back to your breath. So this is a very gentle exercise that one can start doing, and it won't be too triggering, because whenever you feel that something comes up, you can test yourself how far you can go to hold it and to see and to acknowledge it for what it is. And whenever it becomes a little bit too overwhelming, you just come back to your breath. And through this exercise...
Did you know that, just sorry to interrupt, but did you know what you are describing? It's actually even like a self-hypnosis way to go into a gentle trance. It's just that, you know, you are putting attention on your sensations in the body and seeing how how you can, whether you can increase them or you can decrease them, like kind of playing with them.
You
And
see,
it
this is
takes
what
you into
happens. We all
trance.
come from this, we all do the
Yeah.
same work. We find different channels, but in the end,
Yeah.
if we want to work with healing, and I find it
Yeah.
very often with brothers and sisters who are healers, that maybe from the outside it looks very different, but the core of it is the same.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. What would you
Yeah. So
say? I'm very
sorry.
curious. What would be your recommendation?
I think as well, what you were saying, like it's important not to stay in your head and kind of go into your body, and whether it's like this is beautiful, this is something that is relaxing and people can really just like get playful, and that will also train the awareness of your body and like what's coming up maybe in your thoughts while you are feeling certain things, and kind of become an observer of that. But also what I like, especially, and it just kind of feels being called to it, maybe it's just me, but a lot of other people probably will have other things. Something gentle, some gentle movement. For me, it's usually some dance. Whatever, it can be a crazy dance if you want, like if the energy gets you and you go for it. So that's that. And also, I think what works for me is staying in your own element. So whether that is, the element of maybe your zodiac, like water for me. Obviously, that's something that you are very strongly connected to as well. But in other element meaning, if your element is fire, it doesn't mean you have to put yourself on fire, but you can maybe choose to do, flame gazing meditation or something like that, or just sit in the candlelight or whatever. Or if you feel that fire going through you strongly, how can you transmute that as well? But staying also like doing something that maybe brings you peace, maybe brings you joy, and for some people it's like walking their dog, and or whatever. It's just like being mindful about things that you choose to do for yourself, and whatever connecting to the nature, the better. In the end of the day, what we were talking yesterday, the healing that these energies are bringing, it feels so intense that you don't even need to put intention into it yourself. Like you needed to do before. It's kind of, the whole intention setting process. And now it's like, okay, the moment you word it, or you express it in some other way, and we will talk about it, how important it is to know what you want in this period in terms of relationships as well, because this is like progressing into the future of your perhaps way more conscious relationships than you ever had before.
Yes.
So, knowing what you want, giving yourself time to actually connect to things that bring you peace, that relax you, and just energetically clear you. So dance, salty water, any water, swimming for me, going in nature, being in the nature, being with your pets, dogs, cats, brilliant. It's like that automatically, probably you can talk to that a little bit, how you regulate your nervous system with your cats or your dogs, your animals around you.
Yeah.
And this is practice that we had for centuries, and nobody kind of consciously connect to that. It's like, okay, just gonna pet my cat, but not really like energetically being aware of what it does to your body.
Yeah, they are definitely the biggest teacher when it comes to coming back to our mammal self, and that's where deep relaxation happens. And once deep relaxation happens, then release can happen as well, because you cannot release, you can force release. And so that's something, and it's so good that you mentioned, because it has always been for me so important to say that whoever has this huge luck in their lives. They're blessed enough to be close to an animal. Just observe how they behave, because they still know how to do this. And just put one hand on them, and they will, and you will co-regulate with them. Well, of course, if they are already in a calm state. And it's just so beautiful to see how much they help us humans to come back to our mammal selves.
Yeah.
And as you said, actually, working with the elements, that's something that I always do, and for me it's really important. And also, I found myself replanting some plants these past days, and the moment my hand touched the soil, I could feel that I was really just releasing so much that was in my system as well. And from the human design perspective that I also wanted to bring in, especially again when it comes to this feeling these emotions that are happening, because it's a very emotional time. This is also great if someone can become clear if they are an emotional or a non-emotional type, because there are only these two types. And basically there are people who are emotional, meaning that they have this emotional roller coaster in their system, but they can really process a lot through emotions. And the other part, it's kind of 52% of humanity is emotional, and the rest is non-emotional. And those people, although it's called non-emotional, but it's really those are the people who feel all the emotions, everyone's emotions, the people who are around them,
emotions,
the collective, those whose auras are close to them. So it's really like perceiving so much. So if you get to know your human design profile, and you know if you're an emotional, non-emotional, if you're a non-emotional, this is pivotal in this time for you to take good care of your nervous system, exactly with the techniques that we mentioned before. May it be, of course, because of the shadow work, it's all related, right? But this is a time when the nervous system can go in overdrive in a very short period of time. It doesn't take a lot. So it's being mindful, and something that I would really like to point out as well, just be very, very mindful of the use of social media.
Yes.
The disturbing pictures that are being shown these past days, you will do no good to anyone if you look at them. You will help no one with that. So I would really, really ask and invite everyone that please do not go down on the rabbit hole, because the suffering that you will feel will just perpetuate the suffering of the other people suffering at the moment. So what we can do is really stay strong, stay grounded, and breathe for everyone, and call in this energy of peace and love, really. But we can only do it if we are not triggered. So this is something that I really wanted to mention. This is hard. And when it comes to the eclipse, there's a lot to release as well, right? This is time of release, and it's releasing even, well, old friendships, partnerships, etc., etc. And again, observing myself and my behavior, I wanted to mention the amount of people I unfollow these days, because I was very, very aware that I cannot follow these people anymore, because everything they post is like so triggering for me. It's like, now I cannot hold it. So the pure awareness of your own nervous system is such a gift, because you cannot push yourself further than you can go, because you will help no one. And especially us, working with people, we need to be very aware of that. But just this is how we enhance our awareness, and then we can teach and help people better to do the same, because then it should be taught in the school, actually.
Yeah. And this is coming back to the same topic of like how to transmute that fear and into, willingness to love. And one of the things that I also wanted to say is that you can make a choice to not expose yourself to media, because a lot of people are, actually addicted to their own hormones of stress and fear. It's something that, if you talk energy and you talk energetic things, we understand that the more we feel that through the images that we receive, through the words, through the messaging, like anyone, whether you're a hypnotherapist or not, you by now are aware how this influences your mind and how it creates your perception. And then you go from those thoughts and images, you go into your body and you feel those emotions, and those emotions is energy in motion, and you're just like producing this same crap as a battery, and you are on and on while you're depleting yourself of your vitality completely by participating in this. So media, it's a huge no-no. Like we I don't know about you, but I think we talked about it. Like TV, it's a thing of the past, like for decades, not being influenced by that box, and the worldview you get to create is very, very different from what's offered there. So be very mindful what's coming in through your eyes, through your ears, what words you're speaking out yourself, being mindful. And the eclipse as well, where we are saying it's that all collective shadow that is being disturbed one more time, when you know, like it's like, fuck, like what else, you know? And it's another layer. It's just another layer. And yeah, at this point, you know, we just gotta ride it. It's no way of stopping it, of resisting it, of like, you know, oh, I'm gonna put my head in the sand. No, no, darling, you need to go through this. And this is what you can do to help yourself. You know, things that we already mentioned, but at the same time, you know, something that we will talk a little bit more maybe in terms of like what we said before, it's not all negative. We can transmute this energy into something very, very productive, and into something, manifesting some things that were on hold for a long time, and now it's coming up to the surface. It's up to us what we're going to choose. So again, living in that fear, we're just going to create, I don't know what else, like really. I don't want to think about that. But that's the turning point. That's the crossing road of like so clear where you're gonna go from now on, you know. So in terms of choosing that, and I think this eclipse is big about it, is choosing the sovereignty and your own deep values that are not negotiable anymore. And this is something that every one of us is called and invited to like really look at. Because if you can be swayed from one place to another because you're getting a different message from a TV, you don't know yourself at all. And this is something that a lot of people are waking up to. It's like,
it's
how much
back,
more manipulation
exactly,
can we take?
It's how, like, it is a good time, it is always a good time, but this is a great time to step into our own power. Yeah. And for me, this is so, so important, because I see people every day who forgot how powerful they are. And I swear, each and every one of us, we all have this power. So just to remember that it's there, and because sometimes people get to a point where they see it somewhere so far from themselves that it's almost separate from them. So it's really step by step coming back into our power by exactly as you said, having incredibly clear boundaries, learning to say no one. It's really hard. Thinking of ourselves, because in the end of the day, have huge collective doing our own shadow work on ourselves. Because in the individuals that will actually create. It is very, very, because I also will say, and this is, I think it's good news, and I want to share good news as well, that I really, truly believe that there are more and more people waking up to this reality, that we create our own reality.
Yeah.
And I see some people who come from deep, deep trauma.
Yeah.
And there's a choice, and there's a moment in their lives when they really choose if they remain the victim or they come out of the victimhood. And those people who transform this power from the victimhood to like they stand in their power, they become just magnetic for everything,
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
success, for love, for whatever you can imagine, for even money, because
Yeah.
that's exactly the alchemy. That's the secret, right? Like once someone really loses the fear, on the other side of fear there's freedom, right?
Yeah, it's expensive freedom that you don't even imagine. And
Yeah.
this is the thing that sometimes with the manifestation, it's important to know what your desires are, but the details of it, like, oh, that needs to be this and this color or blah blah blah, like nobody cares about that. Like leave that to the universe to surprise you. Like connect with your desire rather than try to control the details of manifestation, when it's supposed to happen, how it's supposed to happen, like what this person is going to look like and how we're going to meet, and like
And I would
no.
even go one step further. What that desire is there for a reason, but what is the emotion that you want to feel?
Absolutely.
What is the image when you have this desire? You can visualize it and you feel yourself somehow. Now, what can you create now that will make you feel that way? And that's
That's
the
the
turning
point
point.
of the, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this is the one of the things that is brilliant to do between these two eclipses, because it's a very sort of juicy time in terms of relationships, romantic relationships, and for a lot of people who, like I said, were sort of had that desire for on hold. There are certain questions to look into, and I'm going to share some questions after, how to get onto that self-exploration journey when it comes to that. If you are somebody who is trying to manifest, a next beautiful relationship for yourself, or perhaps you want to make that decision and leave a relationship that is so dead and it's a wasteland and there is nothing there anymore for you or that other person. You are so done, but the decision is not made yet, like we're just hanging here
Yeah.
and wasting our time. So it's that period where you are so supported to make these kind of decisions. And maybe, if you are in a long-term relationship with your partner, it's a brilliant time to rekindle that and maybe, introduce or rekindle something that is, no longer like maybe working right now, or some changes coming in that will make this relationship grow. So lots of possibilities there in this sort of time between the eclipses. And like we said before, it's super fast moving. So you gotta be clear, you gotta connect to your desire, to the emotion that you feel. And this is important in terms of when we are kind of connecting to our own subconscious mind. So in terms of manifestation, I always say that, every problem exists in your subconscious, but the solution is also there, So it's not like you can sort of source it from outside. You can, it will take you a long time and lots of errors and, disappointments and all that, but you can go in right now, in this period of time where I think what we say, like this veil is kind of thinner between your conscious and
Yeah.
subconscious. And so it's much easier to plant the seed, which is conscious, into, let's say, the fertile ground of your subconscious to start growing. And that seed needs to be that emotion, what is on the end of what you say that you want. So that's not just like, oh, society tells me that I should want that, like get married, have a child, or many other things, have a career, become another Elon Musk or whatever, like whatever. But it's that situation where a lot of us struggle to manifest. It's when you think that you can just kind of get an idea, repeat it enough times, and then it's all planted and it's like growing nicely. And it's not like that at all. Your subconscious is a bit like, show me like a little bit, something a little bit more intriguing. This is like boring. I feel like this, probably there is a difference between like male and female, psychology in these terms, but it's kind of, for a woman, it's a bit like it's just boring. You need to get into some kind of more playful way
Yes.
for yourself
Yes.
to access these parts of yourself, and not in a way of judgmental and kind of urging and things like that. It's like more playful energy, more sexual energy, more receiving energy, rather than like, okay, now I need it. It's kind of way more different. And it's recognizing what we were talking about, those shadows. These are maybe suppressed or unexpressed things and feelings, and our gifts that we had, that we brought with us into this world, and they are kind of just there, not being used. So why not just, instead of being fearful to see what's coming out, let's get curious. Let's get, like, oh, okay, well, that really felt shameful, and I carry the shame like since, like 5th grade or something like that. Like, it's time.
And
It's
it doesn't
time
always have to feel bad as well, because
No.
again, we talk about these things that need to be seen and acknowledged, but then let's bring in the mix, the golden shadow, which is there, which is exactly, that is just lingering in this shadow space, because we may be too afraid to show how fucking amazing we are. Because maybe this is what we are afraid of. So just imagine, it doesn't always have to be even a negative feeling. A golden shadow can be something like you admire someone. So, or a situation, or you see someone, or a relationship, for example, it can look like admiration. You may even feel a little bit envious. It doesn't matter. Go there and see why you are so attracted to that. So why, if it's a role model, if you really look up to someone, what does she or he have? How does she show up in the world? What is it that really makes your heart? I kid you not. Those are also in your personality. Those are your gifts.
You can only you can only recognize them because they exist in you.
Exactly.
In a way, it's like a little teaser. It's like, okay, but I can point it out when other people, and that probably happens a lot with you. Sometimes somebody would say or comment on the perception of you that they have. And you're like, what, really? Like, kind of on a very positive note. It's like, how come, and they kind of giving you a compliment, but you are still not connected to that part of yourself that says, yes, I am that.
Thank you.
I can compliment other people and I have no problem. But when it comes to me, I'm uncomfortable because I haven't recognized what they see in me also exists in them that I admire, and it's that circle of recognition that we have in relationships, but at the same time can be with triggers, right? It's like, if somebody is triggering me, why don't I go and sit with that? It's like, there is still some healing to do there, because it is triggering me in ways that, okay, there are scales of that, but like you said, maybe it's a bit of annoyance, maybe it's a bit of envious, and maybe it's like a bit of, let's sit it and see what comes up.
Yeah, just going there with a lot of honesty about it.
Yeah.
And you know, when we talk about manifesting relationship, there is just this memory that came to me, and it's so beautiful. When I met my husband 11 years ago, it was really like how we met, and we just fell in love at first sight. It was really like that. And
same here.
yeah, those things happen, right? And one of my friend, she was there, so she witnessed this whole thing, and I know that she was really, at that time she really wanted a relationship. And so she told me a week after, she said, you know, I saw this with my own eyes, what happened between you, and it was just like incredible, and it was magical. And she said, you know, I'm so happy for you because I saw that this is possible. So this will happen to me too. Next thing you know, and I'm all goosebumps, a month later, she met her partner. They've been together since then happily, you know? And it was so strong. Like I felt, I really received her message. It was a heartfelt message. It was really, it came from the deepest part of her heart, and I appreciate it so much, and it resonated so much, and then it just brought back to her, you know?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Incredible. I still remember this, and every time I think of it, it's just
beautiful.
It was such a beautiful moment where you can really see that once you, and she found that joy, and she found this moment where she could really appreciate us being together and appreciating a love like that. And that appreciation was already in her. And that appreciation brought in her love.
Just magnified that, you know, attraction to that person, where she will feel that feeling herself. Because, like you say, she was already feeling it within herself, but she expressed it to you, and there was this circle of gratitude and acknowledgement, which is such a powerful, like, magnet to manifestation, right? And something similar what you were saying about the story of as well, the lady that I worked with, and she was a single mom, and she was divorced, and she was really struggling, you know, with things. However, the perception that she had was that, you know, it's very difficult to be a single mom, which is obviously true, but that kind of, you know, perception kept creating, she realized that it kept creating more problems in her life, you know, and like not being able to find another relationship that she desperately wanted for, you know, and it's like desperately want, whatever you desperately want, you're definitely not gonna get because the desperation is the emotion that you're going to create over and over again, you know. And at some point, like, she told me that she met almost like a random person on the street, and we had a little conversation, and somehow she shared that she's single mom, and that person told her, like, oh, but that's wonderful because God loves women with children, you know. And she said that moment was just like a new awareness, like exploding her brain. She was like, damn, that's true. You know, I'm blessed because I am a mother. And obviously this universe is supportive of mothers because I'm creator of life, you know. And she had this awareness changed like that from one sentence. And like you said, within a couple of months, she met this man, and they've been married and have a beautiful family for 30 years now, you know. So it's just those kind of magical moments that happen between people. And this is one of the things that I think we are coming back to, this reality that was so distant now for a few decades with the social media and dating websites and the whole like relationship way of situation, modern relationship situation, that people like starting to recognize now that it's just not working. There is no human connection. You're not shopping on the app for your next husband or your wife. It's ridiculous. And this energy, I feel, it's really bringing people back to, guys, you know, it's the most natural thing on the planet. Two people getting together and having loving relationship is like the most natural thing on this planet for us animals and, you know, any life form on this beautiful place. And somehow we are failing at it. It's like something is not right here. Let's go back to the basics, you know, let's go back to the roots. Something is eating our roots, you know, like some kind of weird ideas or weird perceptions, weird beliefs are eating our roots, and we are not able to thrive in, you know, something that should be so simple, really.
Yeah.
So I feel that this energy is kind of bringing that awareness back to, like, come on, like, you know, let's just be people again, you know, let's just be, you know, two energies, masculine, feminine. We both have these energies, not depending on our sex, like how to balance it instead of how to overcome it, how to become better than this or stronger than that. Is like, no, how to balance, how to come together and how to start balancing these things, because, like, you know, shit is hitting the fan in terms of, like, people finding it hard to be together, you know, where I guess from obviously everybody has issues and problems in their relationships. It's not a fairy tale, but it doesn't need to be on the level where it is now, with so much toxicity, so much, you know, kind of weirdness where people don't know how to behave in front of each other. And they just can't connect, you know. A man is afraid to go and ask a woman out because, you know, he will be a freak. He needs to do it through an app. And it's like, what? People just want to be together. That's it, you know. I think the loneliness got to the point where now it's, you are being drawn to, like, okay, come back to your own humanity, come back to your body, come back to the simple human connection, and let's do it like we've always been able to do. So I really hope that this next sort of 6 months of the eclipse energy is gonna have a significant effect, especially on those people who are clearly setting the intentions for more conscious relationships in their lives, whether it's romantic, whether it's friendships, work relationships, and just relationships that you have with all kind of systems in this world. You know, are you heavily dependent on something that is not making you feel free? This energy is a freeing, liberating, sort of sovereignty evoking energy. And a lot of people are like, okay, the chains of the past, I'm tired. I had enough. Like, I want to be free. And they are looking for a way to do it. They are looking for a way to heal that, to become free. And these energies are supporting,
And just
massively
imagine if this,
supporting now.
then we bring it back to the collective again. Just imagine sovereignty and peace between parties. Smaller and bigger bodies and spaces. This is something that is really my intention for today, was to bring it back to this space where we can really just not only talk about it, but by now I feel that we can really feel it in our bodies, like it's really landed on a physical level as well.
Yeah.
This energy is here and we can embody it. And now how can we continue our journey the next few days and weeks in a way that we are aware of this energy working in our system?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's this kind of, you know, what we were talking in the beginning with working with those energies. It's it's important, like you said, to have that safe space, to create that safe space where it can flow without you necessarily labeling them or judging them on a good bad scale or whatever. It's just like allowing these things to pass through you. It's happening anyway, so the resistance is not going to help. It's just take those moments, get in your element, find what gives you peace and safety. Even when it's like 5 minutes, you know, like some people obviously are in situations where maybe they are full of children running around and they cannot get peace. You know, it's always busy in their household or something like that, where, okay, just 5 minutes before you fall asleep, you know, just be mindful, let the breath sort of breathe you.
Or as you
And
said, bringing the joy in, like put on that music, make those
yeah,
children jump with them, but really feel it, and bring
yeah,
it. It's
feel it
there.
all.
Can you really just search for it, and not and this is also very important. When I say to look for and find your joy, it doesn't mean that you will suppress the rest. Those are two different
Yeah.
practices. One, when you become aware of whatever is going on, but another thing is just to kind of support this exploration. From time to time, come back to your joy, because we tend to forget that too. And it's not that hard.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, right?
music, there are flowers, there's good food, there's, any kind of thing that makes your heart sing. Practice it, make it on a daily basis. Don't forget about it, because that's important. That's
Yeah.
how you create that space where you can feel safe, where you can relax, where you can renew, and then you will have more strength as well to work on your shadows again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I totally agree with that. And it's something that came up over and over as a message these days. It's like being happy without a reason to be happy. So you're cooking something, you know, you're making lunch. Okay, why not to have a music going? And maybe your feet are gonna start moving themselves without, you know, like let your subconscious, let your sort of unconscious moments to come alive and see what happens. You will see what's going on within you. It will give you clues of, okay, what is coming up. And joy is so important, and it's not like in a way like, oh, it needs to be a special event and it has to be like organized to go somewhere and experience that. No, it's much more simple. Like you say, it's just like getting into that rhythm of your own energy, you know, and we all
Yes,
have it.
exactly.
We all
That
have it.
your
It's
own
just,
frequency that brings that in. Exactly. And we
yeah,
all know how to do that. Yeah.
yeah. Just to offer a couple of, you know, inquiry questions that you can ask yourself, whether you're doing a little meditation or you are, you know, doing a little mirror work or something like that, or just to sit down and see what comes up. And it's specifically more around these relationships. So I just want to share a few and see, you know, if that's helpful to somebody. And I've been sitting on some of them too, actually. So, very important that I think now is to look at, you know, your own self-worth and kind of how is that relating to other people's approval. So it's coming back to that self-liberation and sovereignty. So ask yourself a question about, you know, is my self-worth still based on other people's opinion on me, or whether they like me or not, and see where that lands. And very important when you're doing these questionings, do not judge yourself. Whatever answers you are getting, look at them as a curious answer. Oh, really? Okay, I'm still interested in that. That's after all the work that I've done. Okay, there is still something, you know, like
There's always more work to be done.
So, oh yeah, that's never ending.
Yeah.
So, and this is as well what I found very interesting now that kind of came up in terms of people who are searching for the partner. So am I letting a search for a partner consume me? So it's like, is it a joyful process, or is it something that I'm like working at, you know? And it's like that what we're talking about, the desperate energy that only brings more desperation. So is this something that is consuming me, or am I allowing enough space to this happen naturally without my kind of control of how and where and in what way it needs to happen?
Yeah.
So this is something that I feel the energy of that kind of contemplation and, you know, that hard work is ending. And now you need to find a way to really become a receiver rather than, you know, pushing forward in terms of, I feel this is more feminine now. It's like become a receiver. Like you said, get into that emotion that you think this relationship is going to bring you. Is it going to bring you happiness? Or perhaps it's peace that you're actually looking for after being in a fight or flight for so long. Maybe that's what you're craving, you know, and it's kind of really get deep down of the emotion that you are looking for to fulfill and see what in this moment can help you to feel this emotion without like waiting for somebody to fulfill it. Like get training yourself into feeling this emotion. As well, another one was do I feel worthy of an equal partner? So coming back to that self-worth as well, when not a lot of, but some clients I speak to, they are, you know, they say that they want that kind of partner in their lives. But when you go deeper and you start digging the self-worth area around that, do you actually feel that you are equal to that? That there will be reciprocity there. It's not what they are actually feeling. So you need to work on that sort of wounding around that before you can genuinely and authentically attract that person. And the other one that I found this was very interesting. Have I found the courage to be vulnerable by letting someone into my life who actually meets my needs? So can you drop that armor of control, and can you be vulnerable again and open your heart to someone, you know, real to come in, someone without, you know, your specific, let's say, ways or like we were talking, giving those examples. Are you allowing that magic to happen in your life instead of like, my next partner will come from here, or, you know, I'm gonna meet them there, and my life is gonna be like this. No, your life is gonna be, well, you can't even imagine what it's gonna be, you know. So this kind of things that we can sit and meditate on and see what comes up. So thank you very much, darling, for visiting this live after.
We made it happen.
And just before we finish, where can people find out more about your offerings and, you know, human design and other things that you do online? Because you now live in this beautiful island, right? But you do a lot of work online.
Yeah,
so
mainly.
Where can people contact you?
So mainly online, actually, and I'm enjoying it a lot. So I'm doing human design readings, and I'm also a shamanic practitioner. So I do drum journeys and so many other earth-based practices that kind of help. First, we see where the conditioning lies through human design, and then we have with the deconditioning process. But those who only want to do a human design reading, that's also a possibility. So my website is Lobaterapia. It's exactly the way I pronounce it. It's Lobaterapia. rapia.com. And there you can find all my offerings. And of course, clicking on my name here on Facebook, you can totally send me a PM. Actually, I'm very
I can probably
easy to
put
talk to.
absolutely. Probably put your website in the comments as well or something. Yeah, brilliant. So whoever wants a little bit more support can contact us either way and see, you know, what these beautiful energies can help us shift in a huge way. So let's focus on that. Let's put attention on what we want and not what we fear. And let's ride it.
Oh.
Let's have fun.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you for this
Thank you, darling.
talk.
Bye. Thank you. Take care. Bye, everyone.